All right, everybody, welcome. We are back after a week off. I was up in the mountains, and Bracken was out doing the final paperwork on his house. I think, is that right, Bracken? Last week.
Yep.
And you might see that we got a new guest with us today. Really good looking Ray. We choose our guests based on haircut. Right. And Ray from Honeytop Bees is joining. Thanks for joining us today, Ray.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. Good to meet you guys, and looking forward to spending this hour with you. Bracken, you're the only one with hair on your head. Look at that. You got a lot too.
It's turning gray though, that's for sure.
So Jed, I got to tell you, my wife saw the graphic that you created for tonight's live stream, and she was just like, which one are you? She didn't recognize me, and because the graphic, like, we look very much alike, bald-headed, white teeth kind of people. And she's like, which one are you? She didn't even recognize her own husband of 30-something years. So
listen, anyway. I say this, I think this all the time. There's all sorts of minorities. I believe that I'm a minority. Like, all of us bald folks look the same to these haired people with hair. Like, they just look at us, they think we're all the same.
Yeah, I can't tell a difference between you two right now.
Yeah. I'm wearing a hat so that Bracken can tell the difference. But we're excited to be here tonight. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll be a little bit repetitive because we'll have people join throughout the evening. But I got to tell you, we're going to get to know Ray a little bit. For those that don't follow him, go check out Honeytop Bees. I ran across Ray and his channel a couple months ago, and one thing that struck me is he is a great teacher. We'll learn a little bit about his background and where that comes from, but especially those that are new to beekeeping, and even those that have been around a while, he breaks down strategy and tactics really, really well, and puts out really good content. So we'll get to know him in a little bit. I also want to say we've got our giveaway tonight is actually a beekeeping suit repair kit. So this is again from Apis Tactical, our good friends at Apis Tactical. Inside, you can check out their site and see what's all in it. But you've got tape here, you've got needles, thread, all the stuff in here that our friends over at Apis Tactical give. And so we'll give that away tonight at the end of the show. And so for those that get bored with all of our boring dialogue, you can leave and then just come back in the last 10 minutes for the giveaway if you'd like. Just kidding. You got to stay here the whole time. Those are the rules. Let's see. Let's just jump in. Ray, so glad to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into beekeeping?
Well, I started beekeeping at the feet of my father when I was a kid. So I've been beekeeping off and on my whole life, but most of my initial experience was in Vermont, keeping bees with my dad. I have some pictures. My dad's gone on now, but kind of carrying it on with my own son. So I started keeping bees with him for the first 20 years of my life, and then went off to school, and life got busy. And then when my son got of age to be able to be interested in bees, I kind of picked it back up. But I was in South Carolina at that point, and man, I learned, I'm sure there's huge differences between keeping bees where you guys live in Utah and me in South Carolina, but there is huge differences between keeping bees in Vermont and South Carolina too. It's just like a world of difference. And when I came down here, I was like, this beekeeping thing is no problem for me. I've been doing it my whole life with my dad, and I really fell flat on my face for a long time because of the differences of keeping bees down here. And so I really had to dig in, and I decided to go ahead and get my master beekeeper certification through the University of Florida, and just really educate myself locally here as well to figure out why I was struggling so much. And so that's a little bit of how I got started. And now I run about 40 hives, 45 hives I think I have right now. It always fluctuates throughout the year, but and that's about as big as I care to be. And yeah, I teach beekeeping classes. I speak at conferences locally here, like the South Carolina State Conference and different conferences like that on bees and beekeeping, and do education and sell honey like everybody else does.
That I mostly give away honey. Anybody that comes to our house, we give them bottles of honey. I haven't figured out the selling thing yet. Maybe I'll get into that someday. Hey, good to see everybody here. We got Jack and Danae on. Jason's always there. Cat without the hat. We got a new beekeeper in the house. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Cat without the hat.
Yeah, so it's cat without the hat. So welcome. And
here because of Ray. See, now I don't know who that is because they're using a name I don't know, but I feel like it's probably somebody I know. But
yeah, it must have been one of your subscribers joined. Well, welcome, Cat without the hat, and stay a little bit longer, and hopefully you'll win or maybe you can win a repair kit. We don't it's completely objective. We don't change the odds at all. But Redfish is in the house.
Ray, what part of Vermont were you in?
I was in Bellows Falls, southeast corner of Vermont.
Southeast. I lived in Newport, Vermont for a little while.
Okay. Yeah. That's
where I feel. I would imagine. Well, I don't know. Knowing what I know about Vermont, which isn't a whole lot, but here I bet those two are pretty similar to the beekeeping. Obviously, Vermont's got a lot more trees and stuff, but as far as like the cold temperatures, in the winters, I feel Utah and the different seasons, you know what I mean? The fall and we don't have as much humidity though. That's another thing too, is we don't have any humidity compared to over there. But
the biggest difference, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but the biggest difference between South Carolina and Vermont was the nectar flow. How long is your nectar flow there?
It's pretty short. I think the heavy nectar flow, it might even be different for you, Bracken, than me. The heavy nectar flow is end of May through end of June, typically.
Yeah.
So you got
Bracken? About right. Yeah, I would agree. Maybe a little bit into July, but not much.
Okay. And then what happens after that? Are the bees, do they kind of
go
through or neutral?
Sorry, say that again.
Do the bees go negative energy or neutral energy? In other words, does what they have in the environment just neutralize what they're consuming, or is it negative to where they're consuming the resources, or is it still positive after the nectar flow?
Oh, I'd say it's kind of negative, if anything. Maybe it's a little bit sustaining because we have a little bit of a fall flow too. It picks up. I don't know if Jed's noticed that, but that's like when the rabbit brush, and I have a whole list of stuff that blooms, but I can't think of it at the top of the hand. But we do get a little bit of a fall flow, and so that kind of helps it pick back up, but not much.
Yeah, I watch these folks. I don't know if it's the same for you. I appreciate this conversation of how beekeeping is different by region. You specifically, Ray, said that beekeeping in Vermont was different than South Carolina, and you were kind of failing because of it. I'd love to hear tell us more about why. What were some of the things that you saw? But before you do that, it's interesting to see how folks in Alabama and Tennessee in these areas have already done a full phase of honey extraction. We'll do one again in June likely, and probably again in Labor Day. And me and Bracken likely in Utah we'll have one. It'll be around Labor Day, and that's what it is every year. And pretty much the bees really come to a stop in terms of honey production. Wouldn't you say beginning of July? Maybe if we're lucky, a little bit longer than that, don't you think, Bracken?
Yeah, it maybe a week into July, if that.
Yeah, I've already harvested. I'm done for the year. I was done 2 weeks ago.
What? And you won't harvest anything else?
Mm-hmm. If there's a small fall flow here, and I'll leave it on the hives for the winter for the bees. But I'll be feeding bees within the next 2 weeks here.
Mm.
Yep.
How about that? So you don't do one late fall, early, none of that.
No, not here. Here our nectar flow is April, May. It shuts off like a faucet at the beginning of June, and then we go into the summer dearth. Do you guys have dearth out there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we call dearth the summer, like all of the summer.
And and then we have a small fall flow here, but it's not enough. It's not enough to harvest ever. But when I was in Vermont, the flow lasts much longer throughout the whole summer, and the amount of honey we would get per hive in Vermont versus the amount of honey I get here in South Carolina was at least twice as much per hive, sometimes much more. Now, I just posted a video a couple of days ago on the Damari method, and when I do stuff like that, I can get a lot more honey out of my hives. But that was one of the big differences is the length of the flow. And we didn't really have a summer dearth in Vermont at all. It would just be pretty much going right through the whole summer.
Okay. And when you I'm surprised by that a little bit. I pictured South Carolina as the land of milk and honey, and maybe it is, but not for bees. Why did you struggle so much when you started in South Carolina moving from Vermont?
Well, okay. Part of it was when I grew up keeping bees with my dad, we didn't have the varroa mite at all. And so when I started keeping bees down here, I kind of went into it like I knew what I was doing and been keeping bees, with my dad and everything. And so I just did it and didn't really respect the damage that the varroa mites could do. So that was a big factor for me at the beginning, why I struggled. And then also just getting into the rhythms of beekeeping in the South versus beekeeping in Vermont was a big challenge for me too, because I would be, I'd leave my honey on because I'm used to harvesting in September and October in the fall, and then I'd come down here and I'm just like, well, I'll leave my honey on. Well, come the end of July, August, my hives are empty. The bees have eaten up everything that was there. So that was another big factor, is just learning the regionality. I have people that, they like comment on my YouTube channel. You guys have probably seen it too on your YouTube channels or whatever. And sometimes they make these comments, which just clearly tell me that you don't live anywhere near I live. Like you can just tell by their comment, like, yeah, you're in Canada, I'm in South Carolina, it's just a different world. And having kept bees in two different regions of the country, like, if you only keep bees in one region of the country and you just think that that's all there is to it, like that was just a big eye-opening experience for me. It took me several years, 3 or 4 years. And then, like I said, getting my master beekeeper is, just really helped me to broaden my education a lot on that whole thing. So anyway.
What for everybody that's in chat, by the way, we've got Bracken and I, we're sitting here, we're just hacks. Like we've been doing this a few years figuring out, just kidding. Bracken knows way more than I do, but Ray is an educator. He check out his channel, subscribe to it. He teaches classes. And so check him out and watch him, follow him. Ray, tell us about, looks like you got an observation hive behind it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I do. Can you see it okay? I'll move over here a little bit. So this is a 12 medium frame observation hive. So there's 4 vertically and they're 3 deep. It has glass on both sides of it, and they go in and out through the wall to the outside. And this is the first year I've had it. I've wanted one for several years. It's in my bee classroom that I have here at my property, and so the students, I can wheel it in front of the class, and we can learn from it and all. It's kind of cool to have. But yeah, this is my first year with an observation hive. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I love, because when I'm working in my shop, I can hear them buzzing. It's kind of cool. We were talking beforehand, like, doing hive inspection is not cool. It's not fun. It's difficult. but I love having it. It doesn't get checked as much as my other hives, that's for sure. Once a month is about all it gets, regardless. And I'm just going to let them be. If they swarm, it's fine. Let them requeen. Like I'm just gonna let them ride. The only thing I'm gonna do is stick some Baroxan strips in there for mite control, and that's all I'm gonna do. And then if they get honey bound, of course, I'll pull a few frames out and change them. But I'm just gonna let them ride and see how they do.
Is the queen marked?
She is, but I haven't. Since I marked her, I haven't. She hasn't appeared in the outside frame yet. So everybody comes over. Where's the queen? She's always in the middle. Haven't seen her
Somewhere
since.
in there.
Yeah, she doesn't want to come out and have everybody watch her.
Yeah, right.
Stay in the middle. What was that like? I hear about these beekeepers that kept bees before varroa mites were a thing. What was that like?
Man,
like, was it just easy? Like just set it and forget it, and the bees.
It was so easy. Beekeeping was so easy in the 70s and 80s compared to what it is now. And varroa mites was one factor in regard to it. You didn't have as much pesticide exposure that the bees have nowadays. You didn't have environmental problems where there's less, where there's the subdivisions going up and there's not as much in the environment for the bees. Like it was, in my opinion. Now, again, this was my childhood too, so you know how that can be sometimes skewed a little bit. But even as an adult, when I go back and help my dad after I moved away from home, go back and help him, it was just so much easier. It just, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. You didn't have to worry about mite testing, mite chemicals, infestations or anything. It was those were the good old days. I think most guys would tell you. Yeah, there's Dennis. He says, "I wish we could run time back." What's that song? If I could turn back time.
Yes, sing that for us. I'm not sure I'm familiar.
If I could turn back time.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
That's
I think most people that kept bees back then will tell you their experience too. I'd love to hear some people in the chat have some experience with it too that have been around for a while and can remember those days.
And throw those that are in the chat. Go ahead and ask questions. Like tell us some of the stuff that you're dealing with, and let's pick Ray's brain while we got him. It feels like most of the hive inspections, most of the time, the things that we spend time on right now with bees revolves around mites and controlling the mites. Even the money that you spend is around working with mites. Bracken, we've talked about this a little bit before. What's your go-to treatment on mites?
I like the oxalic acid sponges and the oxalic acid vapor and apivar strips. Those are the ones that I've used the most.
What are you using, Jen?
I do. I'm pretty deliberate. This will probably come back to bite me because I'm so deliberate about what I do, and it's the same all the time. I use Formic Pro in the spring, the one strip rather than two in the spring, just in case they're not as strong coming out of the winter. Then as soon as I'm done with that, I go to OA sponges, and I really use OA sponges throughout the summer until we get to fall. Then I'll do another blast of Formic Pro, and then I'll do OA sponges in the winter. And I've had pretty good luck with it. Some issues, but mostly works. What about you, Ray?
Yeah, I'm pretty much settling in on OA. I use Apivar. We can't use Formic here. It's too hot. I mean, we can use it early in the season, like you mentioned, but that's an 80, 83, 85 degrees and below, and or it gets too hot and will damage the brood and run the queen off. So we can't use that here when we most need it in July and August. And I haven't done real good with Apivar strips the last few years, so I'm about to give up on them, but that had been my go-to. But right now I'm using OA vapor, and I'm using the Baroxan strips. So you guys, have you bought any Baroxan strips yet?
No. What's the advantage?
Well, it's probably similar to the sponge. It's a slow release oxalic acid strip. It's new in the United States. It just came out in the fall. Only
Where
a few
do you get
suppliers.
those?
Better Bees got them. Foxhound Bee Supplies got them. There's only a few places that are distributing them, but they just got approved for use in the United States last year.
What are they called?
Viroxan strips. They're oxalic acid time release strips.
You looking it up, Bracken?
Yeah, I want to look.
Yeah, they're 42 days, so it's 2 brood cycle strips. And you can put them on with honey supers. They say you should separate with put them in the bottom box and then have an empty another brood box above it, and then the honey supers above that. But you can still use them with honey supers, so that's kind of makes it convenient if you need to do that. But I'm pretty much turning into an OA guy. Like, I start the year, I make a lot of effort to start the year really clean in January, February, March, with several OA vapor treatments. And then as soon as I take off the honey, the Viroxan strips are on. Actually, I've already put them on this year.
Hey, Ray, what do you think about Dennis's comment there? Is the chemicals and the pesticides that are being used on farms?
I mean, it's definitely a contributing factor. Like, you can't, even science validates that those pesticides are being found in small quantities inside of our comb and inside of our honey. So the bees are bringing them in, and if you live, he mentioned specifically the farms. And so he may be in a farming area. I think also, though, like in our area, we have, the mosquito spraying companies that come by and spray people's yards for mosquitoes, and the bees bring that back in. Matter of fact, in our area years ago, probably 5 or 7 years ago, the whole county decided it was a great idea to do a flyover mosquito spray the whole county, and killed hundreds and hundreds of beehives. And they sued the county and got reimbursed for all their losses. They don't do that anymore, but it's still being done on a homeowner level. And so I'm in the country, I'm on 6 acres, but I live within a mile of a subdivision. And so there's a lot of chemicals that are being used that are even not farmed necessarily.
Yeah. I live in the suburbs, and I feel bad for the door-to-door salesmen that come by and try to sell me pest control. I'm like, listen, guy, I am not your target. I'm not your target audience. We've got a few questions in here before we jump to them. Like, Bracken is a farmer, so we've got a credible source here on chemicals and pesticides from the farm perspective. Like, what's your perspective, Bracken?
Well, I don't know. It's tough because it's got to be both ways. It's kind of, I don't know, farms come first, kind of. I know the bees are critical, and it's tough, but there are, since I have got into bees, I definitely try to be more cautious of using chemical. Our ditch banks are a little bit weedier than they used to be. I'm trying to plant some more cover crops and try to control the weeds rather than spray the weeds to kill them. Plant a cover crop that is beneficial. But at the same time, I mean, it's a double-edged sword for a farmer, I think, because there's some stuff. I mean, you get worms in your sweet corn and stuff, and you're going to lose your crop. Like, there's no other way to do it. And they don't, and if they do have a way, it's not big enough and available enough yet to maintain it. That's just my, personal opinion. But I don't know. It's got to, I live right in a farm town. There's farms all over my area. We have the crop duster plane flies over every morning. We hear him. The bee truck or the bug truck, we call it. In fact, it came out last night. We do register, or you can register your bees so they know where you're at, and they'll actually shut it off. Like, if they get to an area where they know there's hives, they'll shut the spray off. But they do spray in the evenings. They never spray during the day. They always spray in the evenings or nighttime. And I'm around a lot of chemical, and I don't know, my bees, I'm not saying I have the best bees around because I have losses, but my bees do okay. They do pretty good. You know, I've done pretty good in this farming area, and there is a lot of chemical around here. So I can see both sides.
I think it's good to note here, Bracken, because you bring up a really good point, and it's easy to just say pesticides and chemicals and to categorize them all as harmful to bees, but that's not the case.
Well,
Some, certainly anything that is an insecticide is going to have a greater effect than a rodenticide. So there's all kinds of, pesticides that are out there. There's not just one kind. And so I think sometimes farmers, get a bad rap if they put anything on their plants, and that's really not fair to the farmer either.
well, that's the thing too, is like herbicides, like there's sprays that are just to kill plants. Like you could probably, I'm not that I would, but like they won't kill the bees. Like, and farmers usually are fairly tactic about how, at least I feel they are. Like you said, they kind of have a bad rep. Like, oh, farmers are just out there dousing chemicals on their lands. Well, maybe it's a fish-based oil fertilizer that's not harmful to the bees. It's something they see something coming out of an airplane or a machine in the field, and they automatically assume it's chemical killing bees. Like,
it could be fertilizer.
Yeah, that's not the case. That's not.
It may not even be something damaging just because it's coming out of.
That you could probably spray on a colony and it wouldn't even hurt them. Like, not that I would do that, but farmers, I think, are more in tune with it than people think because, well, I don't know. I don't want to get down that road. A farmer is very, at least me and my family and growing up on a farm, like we're very aware of the land. We love the land. Like, we're not here to try to douse the chemicals and ground and kill everything. We're here to try to feed America and grow. We want to be successful as farmers, and we love the land. We want to take care of it the best we can, and it's part of being a farmer. That's my bloodline. That dirt is in my blood, and we got to do what we got to do. It's just the way it is.
What does your shirt say, Bracken?
I stopped farming to be here. This better be good.
Never turns off. Like, you're always farming. Always farming.
Yeah, always.
For those that haven't watched recently, Bracken's been posting more farming videos, which I don't know if that's deliberate or not, but I appreciate that. Like when he's cutting the hay and when he's driving the tractor down the road. So I think that fits well with the beekeeping community. So I like that content. Appreciate that, Bracken. My perspective might be a little bit different. My bees aren't affected by farmers or farms. I'm in the suburbs. So it's probably the pesticides and things that people use just in their gardens. So but the other thing, I don't know anything else. I've been beekeeping for 6 to 8 years, and the bees seem to do fine. Maybe I'm sure it does affect them, but I don't see it, or I'm not close enough to see it. Maybe if a farmer came by and you were in a rural community and it like you were talking about, Ray, like it killed a bunch of hives, certainly then you would notice. But day to day, I don't know. And the other thing is what are we going to do about it? To Bracken's point, we got to eat. Farmers got to grow stuff, and you got to use some of those chemicals. So I don't know. Seems like bees do fine.
Hey, Jed, this is a change of subject.
Do it.
There's this JRC reviews 13-year-old beekeeper. He's had a hive for a week. Do you see that?
Yeah, just put it up here.
I don't know if he can email me. I will give him a free link to my full beekeeping course, 40 lessons for a beginning beekeeper. I want to support young people that are getting involved in beekeeping, and I'd love to give him the course. That's the best thing you can do, is just take a course. I've got one that video-based course that I've created. So if you will email me, I don't know how the best way to do it is, Jed. Maybe you can coach me, but
Tell me your
Ray,
email and I'll put it in the. Just tell me.
sure. It's Ray at Honeytop Bees. I'm gonna get 20 people to email me for a free course.
You can only respond to JRC. This is
they're all gonna be from JRC.
Maybe JRC could email Jed and Jed could get it to you.
Is that gonna help better?
Well, Jed's put his out there before. I don't know, Jed. I'm not trying to throw you under.
Hit me up. No, I'm good. So Jed's beekeeping. But let's answer this question though. Like, so JRC, you came to the right place for sure. Like, you just got a free beekeeping course. Congratulations, that's pretty cool. But let's give some real time advice, Bracken. Like, what do you think for a new beekeeper?
Well, get a lot of money so you can support it. Be prepared to spend a lot of money. People say it doesn't have to be cheap, but it doesn't have to be expensive. I don't know. Be tenacious. Just don't quit. You're going to fail. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And the most important lessons aren't cheap. They're expensive. You learn them hard and you're going to have struggles. Be willing to learn from everybody. Jed does things different. Ray does things different. I do things different. Take some from him, and get a mentor. Ian Casper says, take all the information you can get and find out what works for you. Make a plan and a way to manage your bees your way.
Yeah, I think the region matters too. Mike just put that in there. Like, what state are you from? Listen, here's what I did, JRC. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I ordered my package of bees, and probably that first year, I'll bet I watched over 100 hours of YouTube videos. Like, Ray is a great one to watch for new beekeepers. Great one, because he gives these step-by-step lectures that are just quick, easy to understand. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Then get somebody in your area that's a mentor. But the advice that I would give when you find a mentor, ask a few questions first. Do they keep their bees alive? Maybe don't be so blunt, but what type of survival rate do they have over the winters if you're dealing with that type of thing? Do their hives die off a lot? Get somebody that knows what they're doing, and then you have somebody that you can message back and forth with. The other thing about going back to YouTube though, the other thing about YouTube, when you have a dilemma, you can go onto one of our channels, comment on a video. What I've noticed about the beekeeping community, I've never put in a comment or a question that is not responded to ever. And so you got a lot of people here willing to help. North Carolina. So there's plenty of North Carolina.
Right up the road.
Yep. What advice would you give there, Ray?
I would go with the mentor. Find a beekeeper near you and ask if you could just follow him around one morning and lift the boxes for him, just to learn. That'd be the best thing. He'll just listening to him talk, and then just get an education. He also wrote that he's got a swarm in a tree too. Did you see that comment?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, he's got a swarm in a tree. That's pretty fun. All you got to do is just take and shake that like into a small nuke box with some frames, and you give it a good hard shake so they all fall into that box. Close it up. You're good to go. I mean, it's really that simple. Give them some sugar water, and you can catch that swarm. I don't know what your real name is, JRC, but that'll give you 2 hives. That'd be great.
It might not be a swarm. It might be a hive in a tree.
It could be
a wild hive in the bottom of a tree. How do I get them out? So
did he say in the tree? Oh,
yeah, answer that one.
Oh,
Ray.
Yeah. I don't usually mess with that because you're gonna have a hard time getting the queen. I mean, you have to cut the tree to do it right. I've seen some people on YouTube try to do it with vacuums and blowers to blow them out, but you're not going to get the chance of you getting the queen is pretty low. And then you get a whole new problem if you don't know what you're doing. So
I haven't done that either. That sounds like a fun adventure. 628 Dirt Rooster a couple weeks ago, for the check out his channel, 628 Dirt Rooster. He posted a video the other day of an extraction from a tree. But I'll tell you, JRC, he's a professional. I think it took him hours to get it, and it was a lot of work. Not saying that you couldn't do it, but you got your work cut out for you on that one. Great question. We had some other questions up here. Let me scroll up. Any other thoughts for JRC on that one, Ray or Bracken?
On the swarm, or on just
on the new beekeeper?
New beekeeper. Yeah. I mean, watch my course. It's about 6 hours. It'll give you a good foundation. Then work with a mentor. That's what I would recommend to you.
I went back a little bit for this question, but Gigi, I think didn't Gigi win one of our giveaways, Bracken?
I think so. She's been a pretty regular.
Yeah. So do you all think that treatments might be weakening the bees' natural defenses against mites? You want to take that one, Ray?
Sure, I can play along with it. I'm not a scientist, but in studying my master beekeeper certification, it's through the University of Florida, so they do a lot of science-based education with their certification process, and so they're not saying that it's necessarily weakening the bees as much as their defenses are. So two things are happening here. So number one, the bees are building up defenses against their chemicals, but at the same time, if you think about it like this, we're actually, by treating the hives with mites, we're actually creating a super mite, because only the mites that survive the chemicals are the ones that continue to reproduce. So if we over medicate our hives, we're actually saving our bees and creating a super mite at the same time, a mite that's more difficult to treat. And so it's really not necessarily entirely on the bees side. It can be on the mite side as well, because only the bees that survive our chemicals, the mites that survive our chemicals, are the ones that are continuing to reproduce the next time around. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The other thought that I have is, and again, I'm not a scientist. These are just random thoughts. Which this is our live stream, so I guess we can talk about whatever we want. But the thought is that you probably, my thought is, it makes sense to me that you would be weakening the bees. In fact, I've wondered this about myself. Until this year, I hadn't had a hive not make it through winter. I overwintered all of them successfully, and I thought, is that good? Am I babying them too much? So I keep bees that maybe aren't as strong because I'm protecting them too much. Maybe you ought to back off and have them build some of their own defensive mechanisms. These are just random thoughts I've had. I've got no science or experimentation behind it. I bought a mated queen recently, just from a local guy, but I did look online, and I was looking at some of the Golden West bees, those Randy Oliver bees that are supposed to be 50% of them are mite resistant. So there is progress on getting those mite resistant bees.
Bees in other parts of the world have already developed defensive behaviors against them. It's interesting how the bees are adapting. Like in a lot of the Asian bees, for example, the brood cycle is shorter in order to interrupt the mite's reproduction cycle, and they're naturally, and some of the bees have more grooming capabilities than grooming the mites off of each other. And so in other parts of the world, they're showing greater resistance to mites than we have right now. And that whole question about is the chemical is it helping? It is probably short term, but is it doing something longer term? I don't. It very well could be to where we're making it more difficult long term for our bees to develop that resistance, because for them to do that, we have to lose bees, and nobody wants to lose bees.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like this comment by Tiny Creek. Think about it this way: you do treatments on the bees that are going to raise your winter bees. So really, the treatment isn't getting to overwintered bees unless you use OA vapor. I use the OA sponges, so it probably gets to some of them too. It's an interesting topic. I'm one. I might be in the minority, but I'm one that thinks that that we won't fully get rid of mites. They're not going away. They're here to stay. I'm guessing that in other areas of the world where they've built those mechanisms, they're probably Africanized. They're probably super ultra aggressive bees. But we can get a string of genetics that are more mite resistant than others. I think that's already starting to be proven.
I have a video on my channel about a beekeeper in Uganda that I interviewed, and they don't deal with mites at all. But the bees also chased him into the Nile River, and he had to go under. And every time he popped his head up above the river, the bees would attack him. So he tricked him by taking his hat and floating it down the river. And the bees followed his hat down the river, and then he ran out the other side of the creek and ran home.
Is that true? Is that
yes, it's true. Listen to him tell the story. It's called the video's called like Beekeeping in the U.S. versus Uganda or something like that. And he tells the story about him in the river, the Nile River, and how he had to float his hat down to trick the bees, because every time he popped his head up, he was getting attacked.
After we finish this live stream, Ray, it'll be posted on my channel.
Okay.
You should leave a comment with a link to that, because I want to check that one out.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay. And yeah, think about it this way. We all what type of bees do we want? We want mite resistant bees that are gentle. I just don't think those two worlds exist.
No,
I don't know, Bracken. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you, Jed. I don't think the mite's going anywhere soon, and I don't know. I think we'll be able to find ways to help kind of contain it, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. That's just my opinion. I don't know, unless somebody out there is wicked smart, which there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me that come up with something that is gonna just fix it. But I think it's just like, farming. Everything evolves. This is just part of the evolution of the beekeeping. Like, you can do everything you can to prevent mites, and then what happens when your neighbor doesn't, and your bees go and rob those bees? Well, I just did everything I could to prevent for mites, and now I'm still screwed. So, yeah, it's what do? You prepare for the worst. What's that saying? Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, you're right, Bracken. That can happen. Somebody down the road isn't doing it, then.
But we all do need to, as beekeepers, we definitely all need to. Again, it's like farmers. They got to be mindful of. I wish farmers and beekeepers could get together a little bit better, and man, if they could help each other, if we could get all the farmers to plant a pollination strip in their rows, one in their field or somewhere, and try to spray a little bit more in the evening time when the bees are sleeping or in their hive. If we could work together, but the thing is we're not a one hive mind. We're not a hive. Us humans, we're going to do things that benefit us, and we're going to do it on our time and how we want. And we're never going to. We can try, but that's just my. From what my 34 years of being in this life, everybody is going to do what they want to do and how they want to do it, and you're not going to change them.
Yeah. I like the communication. Be a good citizen. Be a good community part of that. And just my final thought on this, and let's get to the Tiny Creek question here. Is I am if having mites meant that I could be in the suburbs and have bees, then it's worth it to me. Like I don't know that an aggressive hive or Africanized bees are the only way to defend against mites, but I can't have that type of hive here. Like it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be a beekeeper if that were the case. So I'm grateful for it if that's the case. Didn't think I'd say that tonight in the live stream. I'm grateful for mites. All right, let's check out this question. Question on sponges. This is from Tiny Creek. I'm using them now, and I have them on top of my queen excluder. It is eating the metal excluder. How can I do the pads without them messing up my excluders? Bracken, I know you use sponges. You have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, see, I've never seen I don't know if my excluders sit a little bit higher, but I've never had the oxalic acid mess with my, at least that I've seen. I mean, maybe now I'm curious and I need to go look, but like, I don't think it is eating my excluders. You know, I just set the sponge down, but I use those really, really thin Swedish sponge. I just buy them off Amazon. And I think between that and the lip of my box and then the excluder, I don't think they touch.
Yeah, I have seen a little bit of that, Tiny Creek. Now you said on here that you put them on top of your excluder. I put them below. And the metal excluders that I use are slightly raised. Not enough that they don't touch, at least mine aren't, but they're slightly raised, and that's worked. Otherwise, I don't know if it makes a difference above or below, but that's what I do. I have them below.
I don't have much to offer there because I don't use sponges, but you could use plastic excluders.
Yeah.
And they'll probably work better if you're having a problem with that. Then the metal would be my guess on that. The metal ones are obviously better quality, but they both work the same way. Yeah,
and Tiny Creek saying that they have oil pads. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but those Swedish sponges work really, really well. I had a video, I don't know, a couple months ago on that, and I show those Swedish sponges. But if you message me after Tiny Creek, I can send you the link on Amazon where I get those, if it makes a difference to you.
Yeah, or I can get it to you as well.
All right, we're that went by super fast, Ray. Like, I don't know if you've got to go, but please hang out if you can. But we ought to do this again, Ray. Have you on?
Fun. That was great. I mean, where are we at? 48 minutes already? Gracious, I thought we were just getting started.
Listen, great engagement from everybody tonight. We're gonna talk about what's coming up in our hives and our colonies, and we'll do the giveaway here. But having Ray on has just been a pleasure. At some point, we got to have you on again. I want to learn more about this master beekeeping, why you decided to do it, what it was like. I think other people might be thinking about it, getting an education, because aren't you doing something, Bracken, like going to beekeeping, whatever? What is it?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing through the University of Florida there that Ray's doing. I've been working on it.
What year are you in, your first or your second year?
The second, in the advanced.
In the advanced, yeah, good. That's great.
Yeah, it's been pretty.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's been pretty good. I wish I could focus more and study more. I mean, I can watch a YouTube video all day long, but as soon as somebody starts, presentations and slideshows, I'm like, oh, look, a squirrel, Yeah. And so I've been learning pretty good, but man, it doesn't stick as good for me as, maybe for you, but I am enjoying it though. I do like it, and it has been nice.
Well,
and it's still there. It's there if you need it too, you know.
I like how it's on my terms, not theirs. I can come work on it for 10 minutes and then go change water. Or I've even put some of the modules and listened to some of the stuff while I'm in the tractor, like, just trying to retain. I try to retain anything I can. Most of it just falls out of my head because I can't hold it. But
This is a good question. We can answer this one pretty quickly. So JRC's in his first year, but anybody could deal with. Why are the bees not making a lot of comb? So Ray is having got his master's in beekeeping or being a master beekeeper could give us the exacts on this, but it takes a ton of energy to create comb, more than it does honey. So my suggestion in that, just simple, we could get into it more, is feed them. Do some sugar water, feed them.
Feed them. Make sure if you have buying those plastic foundations and they didn't have double or triple wax on them, make sure that you put a good coat of wax on them, because the bees will just ignore them. If they don't smell like bee, if they smell like plastic, they don't have enough wax on them. That would be the other thing I would recommend. Checkerboarding, taking your undrawn comb and put it between your drawn comb will help as well. But feeding them so they've got a lot of resources. Feed them inside the hive so that it's right there.
Thanks, Ray. All right, let's talk about what we got coming up in our operation this coming week, and we'll do the giveaway, and then we'll let everybody get out of here. By the way, this will be helpful now as we go over. If you can put, what should we do? What's the hashtag for the repair kit, for the beekeeping repair kit?
Repair.
Hashtag repair, and I'll start plugging your names into the wheel of names, and then just email me the winner. Email me after, and I'll send it out to you. We do a giveaway every week. This is one subscriber at a time. We're still in from Dave Burns' live stream right now. That's our objective. That's all we want. So hashtag repair, and if you win every week, like, great. Like, we love you and glad you're here. Ray, why don't you tell us about what you got coming up this next week with your bees?
Oh yeah, thanks. I'm splitting right now. So with all the hives, when you do the Damari split in the spring, you pull off the honey, you've got massive populations inside of your hives. So I'm doing all my June splits right now. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm out of equipment. I'm out of boxes. I'm waiting for some more to come in so that I can split some more, because a lot of my hives they're just massive right now. So, and just, they're just packed out of bees. And so that's kind of what's going on in the bee yard, doing the early mite treatments for the summer, pulling off a little bit of last honey that I didn't get a couple of weeks ago. And that's pretty much it. It's summertime down here already. What about you guys?
Great. Go ahead, Bracken. What you got coming up?
Oh, I got, besides farming, the bees, I put some into the single brood management. I just put a video out. I think it was, I don't know when it went out. I can't remember, yesterday but I condensed some hives down into the single brood management. I like to do that. The flow, I think, is going to pick up here. I'm just kind of watching. There's not a lot of things that I need to do. My queens should be going on their mating flights, the ones that I raised or that I grafted. I got my little mini mating nukes out. Probably need to top them off with a little bit of syrup. I try not to bother them too much while the queen's flying and mating, but they are supposed to, let's see, it's the 5th today. I think they're supposed to be laying and mating. I think their mating flights, actually, according to the little calculator thing that I use on the internet, I think it started yesterday, but I just going to be watching for lots of bees flying around and gathering nectar and hopefully a decent honey season. That's what I'm looking forward to this week.
Okay, this last week has been just wild for me. With 3 hives, you become quite intimate with these hives and familiar. And one of the hives, so a third of my hives lost their queen, and I wasn't exactly sure why. And found out it was queen right. It looked like it was queen right, and I'm probably going to back off for a week, frankly. And just give them a little bit of space, give them a little bit of room. Maybe I'll regret that. But I'm gonna give the bees a week off, and with 3 hives, I can do that. So I I will say this, like I did this mason jar honeycomb thing. It is not working for me. I think there's several things that I did wrong. We can talk about it later in a live stream, but I don't know. It's not working. I like the idea, but it's not working. Not yet.
There's a whole wake of beekeepers with piles of mason jars in their garage that have had the same experience as you, and I'm one of them.
I'm gonna make it work. Hey, listen, Bracken, the total viewers that we've had now has started to spike. Everybody knows that we do the giveaway at the end. Maybe we have to do a giveaway.
We might have to start doing this to an hour and a half.
In the middle, in the end. Like, I like it though. Like, you're smart. We got smart people. I think I've got, let me share my screen here. I think I've got everybody in. So hashtag repair. If you didn't do it, I think I caught everybody that did.
Did I say Greg Burns? I don't think I meant Greg Burns. What's that guy's name?
David.
Dave?
Dave. Yeah. Whoops. Sorry, Greg.
I got Grayson on there. Okay, so here we go. And Ray is on the wheel right here, folks.
Yeah, I don't actually want to win. I was just being silly.
Well, let's see, just for the fun of it. We
I don't
pick
want
every
to win.
week.
I'd be embarrassed if I won. So please,
No,
then you're gonna think it's rigged.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna find out. Let's see. So a few more people put in there. I don't think I got Jason. Let's add him.
Granada.
We got Jim.
Granado. I am terrible at reading.
And JRC. This repair kit is awesome. And by the way, like, check out Apis Tactical. They've been so good to us. They put out good stuff. And you know, if your beekeeping suit wears down, you don't want to go buy a new one if you don't have to. Like, you got the repair kit right there. I got Tiny Creek on there already. Somewhere. Yep, Tiny.
Jason on there. Jason, I know you're in Canada, but we can probably figure something out. I'm sure it's.
I got Jason.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure it out.
Does the Postal Service make it to Canada? I'm sure they do. I love our Canadian friends.
It depends. Do you want the Edmonton Oilers to win or the Florida Panthers? Because if you want the Panthers to win, you're not gonna win.
Don't answer that. Don't take the bait.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Game time. Oh, let's make our picks. Bracken, who do you think's gonna win?
Tiny Creek.
Tiny Creek's gonna win. I'm putting my money on Granado. Ray, who you got?
I'm going with Eugene.
Eugene. I like Eugene. Here we go. Game time.
Oh, he don't talk sports. That means he wants the Florida Panthers to win. Can you hurry and take his name out?
Oh!
Who is it? No way.
Did you pick Jason Bracken?
Yeah, unless he says go Oilers, you can't send it to him.
Jason won. You picked him. You've picked the winner like 2 weeks in a row.
Oh my
Yeah,
word.
I'm going to Vegas.
With as many people as we got.
Bracken, what would be some of your numbers that you might play the lottery tomorrow? Just curious. I'm gonna just write them down.
Oh, let's go with 25, 58, and 12. How many more do you need?
I don't know.
That is awesome. So congrats to Jason. Jason, hit me up. Send me an email, jedsbeekeeping@gmail. jedsbeekeeping@gmail.com. Send me your address and I'll ship that out. Ship that out to you. Congrats. Hey, this was a lot of fun, folks. If you haven't done it yet, go to Honeytop Bees. Go subscribe, like the videos. He's got great content. Bracken, Barker's Bees and Honey. Bracken is like, he's always messing something up. Just go there go over there for the comedic value.
Go watch Ray and Jed to see how to keep bees alive, and then come watch my channel and I'll show you how to kill them.
I edit out my dead bees. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, you edit them out. That's fine.
Too much pride to show my dead bees on my channel.
All right. Appreciate you. Love you guys. JRC, your first year of beekeeping, go in once a week. Have a ball, man. Go in every week. Just have a riot. You don't need to be in there, but if you want to, go in there. That's my advice. Okay. Rock and roll. We'll talk to y'all later.
Guys. See ya.